Well, we'll get into all of that, won't we? We will get into all of that. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, people of LinkedIn. Good morning if you are watching us live on YouTube as well. Good morning, Meena, and good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
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 Or afternoon for me.
Afternoon. Of course, sorry, we're global, right? What time is it, Meena, where you are, and tell the people where you are?
12:30. I live in the desert of Dubai for my sins. So yes, it's afternoon. So I'm quite fresh compared to you guys.
Yeah. So even though Meena has a lovely southern accent, she actually, how long have you been in Dubai, Meena? How long is it now?
I came out for 2 years and I'm in my 19th year this year. So as you do.
Yeah. So we've got the incredible Meena Confait from SAP Business Women's Network, SAP, not SAP, of course. And we've got Lisa Ardley-Price, who is also global co-chair of the Gender Network at NatWest. And we were just talking about, how long you've both been chairs of your network. So I've done a little bit of an intro, but I just want you guys to just do your own intro in terms of size of the network and how long you've been involved with it as well. Meena, do you want to go first? And also tell us what your day job is, because obviously this is a side hustle, right?
Absolutely, as you can see in my title. So my day job is that I've been with SAP now for 12 years now, and I work part of the Global Delivery Hub, which is part of the services part of the organization, and I'm in the business and customer office there. That's what I get paid for. But my passion project and side hustle, so I wanted to say side hustle because it is everybody's side hustle. I'm also the global co-chair for the Businesswoman Network. We're also reaching our 19th year, and I'm responsible with my co-lead for running a network of over 20,000 members across the globe.
Amazing. I mean, 20,000, that literally is, bigger than a lot of organizations, right? So it's huge. It's an organization within an organization, which I know, Lisa,
Absolutely.
for you, similar as well, because your gender network is is the biggest, right, in NatWest.
Yeah, it is with, Junior would pull me up on this. Junior Beam is one of the global co-chairs of our multicultural network, and they are hot on our heels. We're around 9,000 members. So Meena, you're double us. That's huge. I mean, I thought we had a lot to manage, but it's great. And yeah, so our network similarly was set up 20 years ago. So it's coming up to its 20th anniversary. Well, it is in its 20th anniversary this year. Yeah. So we've got lots of celebrations planned for that. And MCN2, actually, they're also celebrating their 20 years. So lots of joint celebrations, and we do a lot with our other employee-led networks. We're very close, and bringing out the intersectionality across all of them is something that's very much a priority for us.
Yeah.
But yes, so back to kind of who I am. Coming up for 3 years in the role of global co-chair of the NatWest Gender Network, and I do that alongside my fellow co-chairs at the moment, Alice Cook and Richard Crump. My day job is I'm a lawyer in the legal governance and reg affairs function of the bank. I've been in the bank for 11 years now, and I predominantly support the commercial and institutional banking teams. Nice. And have few direct reports there and do all of that. But then funnily enough, like the role in the gender network is where, I have a much bigger kind of management and leadership role, because, Meena will compare notes on kind of how we're set up and how we're structured. But we have, a big leadership team with 5 different subcommittees, and then we have different regions and strands across the globe. Because when you are that big, you have to structure yourself in that way, and you have to almost kind of run yourself like a business.
Yeah. Yeah, incredible. Yeah, absolutely huge, the breadth of what you're covering. And having seen Meena's org chart for SAP BWN, it is literally like an organization, matrix structures and all. Good morning, Adrian, in the comments. If you are joining us live, please do say good morning in the comments as usual, and give us a lovely little weather report where you are. Because obviously, we're in the UK and even in Dubai. Meena, you were telling me recently that you often discuss the weather. Yeah, I think it was you that were telling me that you're often discussing the weather as well in Dubai. So good morning, Adrian, Aaron, sir. There's some blue in the Cornish sky this morning. It's usually wet and, I sometimes say wet and wild. I don't mean to say that. Wet and windy.
I love Cornwall. I love Cornwall. Like one of my friends converted me to Cornwall during COVID. And she's my best friend. And she grew up there. And during COVID, when we couldn't travel too far, she was like, just come to Cornwall for the summer.
Yeah.
And ever since then, and we were blessed. Like it was that first year of lockdown. And we 30 degrees in Cornwall, absolutely stunning. And we were on Fistral Beach. And honestly, like we could have been in Spain. It was incredible.
Nice.
It's one of the top 10 countries in the world to visit. So it's on my list.
Nice. So Cornwall, some blue in Cornwall this morning. Amazing, amazing. So we are going to get into this, and interesting that both of you have been running your networks. Meena, how long have you been running? How long have you been co-chair for?
So I'm in my third year, and just like you, Lisa, I'm in my last year of handing it over, and I'm bittersweet about it. I'm very excited about what we've achieved. But just like you, it's time to hand over the mantle towards the end of the year and give another person a voice and a platform to have the fun that we've had.
Yeah. And good morning to Junior Beeman. So
his ears were burning.
Yeah, his ears were burning. Junior, who affectionately calls me Oprah.
I agree. You are Oprah.
100%.
Are you giving away cars today?
Yeah. You get a car. You get. Yeah, exactly. So Junior also runs the Multicultural Network. What did you call it, Lisa? MCN too?
Yeah,
Multicultural
Network.
MCN.
Yeah, but I mean, he's old hat at this because he spent 3 years running the Rainbow Network as well.
Yeah, and another huge network. The thing actually that's really similar across both of your organizations, because you both said that for your gender network and for your women's network, you're coming up to like 19, 20 years. Mm-hmm. So there is one takeaway before we even get into the questions, is that your organizations take these networks very seriously. Like this is not, just like, even though they are side hustles and they're still side of desk, but the networks invest a lot in the infrastructure of them. Like they're taken very seriously. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
I certainly would. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, incredible. Okay, right. We're going to get into some of the questions. I'm hoping some people are going to really get some learnings. If you're running a women's network or your organization has women's networks or large networks, but also just for any network, I think so many of these lessons will be transferable. So let's just start off with one initiative or one particular approach that's really working for your network right now. And why do you think it's resonating?
Do you want to go first, Lisa? I bet you it's probably the same, and I'll jump on the back of that.
Okay, well, we'll see. I think so when I came into the co-chair role, one of the things that I love so much about our network is how passionate the volunteers are. And we have a lot of people across the organisation, 300 plus volunteers who are very busy, doing lots of things, getting behind various initiatives, events. But sometimes it can feel a bit like throwing paint at the wall. Like you're not having the biggest impact that you want to be having. You're doing loads, like you're super productive and there's always something happening. But is it actually having the outcome that you want it to have in terms of shifting the needle and driving change? And so we looked at that and tried to get really strategic about what we were doing. So we spent a bit of time looking over what we had been doing, what was working, what wasn't working. We knew we had the passion, the drive and the commitment from people to do stuff. But were we doing the right things and were we doing them in the right way? Yeah. And so then we spent a bit of time, really planning out our strategy and thinking long term, not just like what do we want to do in the next year, but where do we want to get to in the next 5 years? And the outcome of that was that we decided to focus ourselves on, we have 3 pillars that all of our activity is broadly aligned to across the network. So that is allyship and intersectionality, gender-based lifestyle and well-being, and then career development. But then we thought, even within that, we need to be even more focused still. So we set up certain kind of hero campaigns, we've called them projects, that we wanted to swarm around. Things that we thought were areas of challenge, gaps that weren't being addressed, that we could really get behind and drive some meaningful change around. And those are senior female career development. We'd already been running a gender network development program, now in its 12th year this year.
Yeah,
it's entirely volunteer led, and that was for our kind of junior colleagues to move into their first management role. But what we were doing for the upper end, so how were we supporting our senior women to continue to progress but also stay in role, because we're hearing, you know, so much about glass cliffs and people falling off the glass cliff, and senior females burning out. So how do we support them? Then women's safety, so really shining a light on domestic abuse, stalking, harassment, for both colleagues and customers. And then the third one is menstrual health, because not enough was being spoken about in the context of that. And that is a big area. I mean, we have a working group now of over 50 women and male colleagues as well. We're doing a lot with our allied men community as well, who are kind of coming in to help us to really raise awareness and educate around that. So yeah, big projects, but actually getting us to really focus our attention and align all of our activity to those, and support those. It doesn't mean we don't do other things alongside, we do, but it's really helped us to focus our minds, and we're seeing great results in all of those areas.
And if you were to choose one that you think has been like out of those that has been like the most impactful, which one would you think?
I can't. It's like you asked me
to choose a favorite child. I know.
No, I mean, look, all of them have been powerful in their own ways, and they're all shifting the needle in different ways. And I think they are all different enough. But it's very, very difficult to compare. I mean, the senior female development program is quite niche. What we've been doing there is working with like a pilot group, cohort of women, to take them through and almost kind of build a business case around that and see how we can then grow and scale it. First and foremost, it was about identifying a need. There is a need for this, and now kind of how do we address that need, and then how do we build it out. With the safety pillar, again, or project, it's more about kind of creating safe spaces. And then from there kind of building out. So we have like awareness and education events to help people to better understand the issues and the challenges, spot the signs, and where we'd like this to go. And fantastic Zena Spears is running this. She has very bravely shared her own story around this and why she's so passionate about it. But she's doing great work. She'd really like to take it into kind of line manager training and things like that to make people really alive to what's going on here, and so we can better support both colleagues and customers. And a lot of work that the bank's doing as well around supporting customers in the space and creating safe spaces in branches, etc. So it's a different type of work there. It's all about kind of creating those psychologically safe spaces and physically safe spaces for people. And then with menstrual health, I mean, just like there is just so much to get after there. We've had products in bathrooms for a while. That's just the starting point, right? But then it's also like, what else? How can we better support our female colleagues that are going through the menopause? What other facilities, what other resources do we need to be providing to them? Flexible ways of working, in terms of supporting people that need to, not come into the office when they're dealing with certain symptoms. Raising awareness around things that a lot of people don't know about, like endometriosis. So yeah, I mean, there's so much to get after in that space, but I'm really pleased to say that it's going really well. And we've been shortlisted for a British Workplace Award for the work that we're doing in menstrual health, which is fantastic. And what has really helped us in that, and we can talk more about kind of collaborations across the wider organisation shortly, and I'm sure Meena's got some great examples of this as well. But what really tipped us into kind of real meaningful impact in the menstrual health space was aligning with our wellbeing team inside the bank and doing more with them, so that we really joined up across the organisation, to make sure that the work that we were doing was having the broadest reach outside of just the members of our network, that actually getting out there to all colleagues.
Cool. I mean, I know that, I particularly love the safe spaces one in particular. That's just one of my favorites. I think mainly because it kind of has that internal and external perspective as well. But they're all absolutely incredible. Meena, how about you? One initiative or approach that's really worked. And just for anybody that's online, I think we lost the LinkedIn connection right at the start, so we've reconnected. So if you've switched over to YouTube, you can also potentially find us back online now on LinkedIn. Meena, one initiative or approach that's really working for you at the moment.
I was going to tell you about that because somebody's just pinged me saying I've lost the connection. So tech.
Yeah, we're
tech.
back.
Right, okay. So
the tech,
I'm going to say
honestly.
something. I work for it. Lisa, one thing I'm listening to you and hearing is, and this is a problem, but it's a good problem, is the passion, right? We all have this passion and we can talk till the cows come home. This is my British coming out in the Western world, So a little bit about BWN before I answer the question, Cheryl. The difference probably between the two organizations is that we are a global organization. Yes, the members are spread. That's 20% of the organization are members of BWN. And it started 19 years ago with 5 women who basically, in a male-dominated environment, had to come together, take their capes off and be women, right? That's why it became Businesswoman Network. Now, over the years, the biggest challenge we have, and I work in the Middle East, so I'm very, very culturally sensitive of, what's going on around the globe. And the perception was and is, and still is at times, is the women in the name. So the key thing that we've done, Nyla and my co-chair, who's my co-chair, the key thing that we've done in our tenure as leads is we've elevated the B in the Businesswoman Network because we are businesswomen first, as opposed to just women. And you're talking about issues that are predominantly going on. You've talked about, the menopause and menstrual issues and so forth. We can't just openly bring that across the globe because it's a topic. They're topics that are culturally sensitive and people don't talk about. So we've chosen topics that are going to appeal to our male allies to bring them into a room and across the globe. So, I'm going to coin this phrase, the beyond the cupcake. It's mine, okay? So don't try to steal it.
You need to copyright it, Meena.
I need to copyright it. Actually, somebody told me to do that. So Lisa, from your perspective, the biggest challenge we had when I first started off as a member of BWN was that we were known as the people that bring in the cupcakes, with the women that put together, tea parties and so forth. And that narrative needed to go. So I always say this, and I use this example of, if I've had a fight with my husband, unless I explain to my husband what that fight's about, we're never going to resolve it, right? Because as far as he's done. So our enemies are not our male allies. And when we explain and share with them the support and help we need, they are very much on board. So that's one of the things we've done, is that we've elevated the Be in Businesswoman Network. We've basically appealed to our leadership and our sponsors, the impact that we can make. And just like you, there are 3 key areas that we focus on, and that is business impact, community engagement, and chapter success. We're over 100 plus chapters across the globe, 5 regional leads. We do run this like a business. And if we run this like a business and talk like businesswomen, we're very much supported by our leaders. And our challenge isn't the sponsors at the top, because we've got 2 board members. In fact, we have 1 board member who refuses to give up his support for Businesswoman Network because he theoretically should also hand over his sponsorship to another board member. But he said, no, I'll do others, but I'm not letting go of BWN, which is a great testament for us.
Yeah.
But it's also that middle management side that, believe, and we are making inroads. We do sessions like how to become a millionaire. Who doesn't want to learn about money? Powered by BWN.
Dubai.
Very big, isn't it? Yes, and that's because I'm based here. But what I'm saying across the globe, then we do series like, finance for women, how to save, how to invest, all of those type of things. So the topics are now becoming business related, and we do get penalised as that you're becoming too business focused. But in light of what's been going on around the globe, and in light of the D&I, narrative being penalised, especially what's going on the other side of the water, this is what we have to do. It's fine. But ultimately you have to have a passion and belief for it. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. I love that. So thank you. So we're back apparently now. So hopefully people can find us on LinkedIn. We're back on LinkedIn. Yeah, I love what you said, Meena, putting the B and the obviously global, with it being a global network. So putting the B in front of business women. I mean, obviously for you, Lisa, your network is a gender network. So it's not, it probably evolved from Women's Network, right, to Gender Network.
It's been on like a journey over 20 years.
Yeah.
Very much on being there for all genders now.
Yeah, but I love that idea, Meena, you know, just that simple refocus to it's about business women, you know, which, as you say, linking to that reframing from not just being about cupcakes and, you know, sort of tea and sympathy, reframing it to something different, you know, and putting the business in it. I love that, especially. And the other thing you talked about was the global lens, and you were talking about that as well, Lisa, in terms of that when you're looking after a network that's global, you do have to think about the local versus the global. You know, what's going to work, what's not going to work in different regions. So no, absolutely love that. Good morning, everybody. Yes, we are back. Good morning, Sylvia, Anna. It's lovely to see you in the comments. So we you know, often we talk about things that go well, but we don't always talk about things that maybe didn't go well. So is there anything that you tried maybe within your networks that didn't work out the way you expected? And is there something you would do differently?
I can start if you like.
Sure.
Well, I have this naive thinking that everybody thinks and does like I do. Just because I have the passion doesn't mean everybody else has the passion. And if I've chosen to be a lead, I do need to lead. So, you know, first of all, I had to change my mindset from that. Secondly, I had to remind myself that everybody is a volunteer. They're doing this as a side hustle, right? So that's so fundamental. So there has to be a what's in it for me. What's the incentive? So just stripping it back, giving people responsibilities, giving people titles, giving individuals a showcase to have a platform and a voice to actually, hey, you know what? You are always sitting behind your laptop looking at Excel spreadsheets, right? You're going to facilitate this session and you're going to be on a microphone. Just that kind of like, and that nerves and like coaching those individuals. That was one of the things that really worked for us, and just something. And actually paying attention to the individuals, like, so from a global perspective and not just on a chapter perspective, because that's also happening. But from a global perspective, Nyla and I, we do a monthly one-to-one with every single one of our board members and a touch point. And that's where we hear what's going on, what's the pain. And literally lifting these individuals to say, well, why don't you do it this way or that way and whatever. And they have a fear of you know, asking for doing something. So listen, not really an official part of an organization. We're only an ENG. Do it. You know, it's fine. So those are the kind of things I had to really switch off. And I've learned a lot about people. Probably the same for you, Lisa. I've really learned a lot about people. It's like, time management is not their priority and so forth. But if we're doing something, especially something very strategic, it is really important to give people roles that links into their day job, so it becomes natural for them, as opposed to, I mean, it's a really ridiculous thing who's somebody who's like a finance guru and then asking them to go and step onto a stage and, you know, I've created nerves for them. That's not fair. With finance, right, you're going to be the treasurer, right, type of thing. So we're trying to link in and make sure that it becomes easier for them to incorporate their day job with the side hustle. That's just a good tip.
Yeah, I love that. Lisa, how about you? Something that you tried that maybe didn't work out the way you expected, and maybe you're doing it differently now.
I'm going to bring a slightly different perspective to what Meena's just said, and I agree with a lot of it. And I first and foremost, I completely agree with how important it is to listen, and that is a fundamental requirement of any good leader. I think is to listen to people and understand them and what they need, especially in this space where, you know, as you've rightly said, Meena, people are doing this, you know, because they're passionate, because they care, and not because they're being paid to. And so, you do have to work so much harder at times, especially when people are being challenged to do kind of more with less and are being pulled in lots of different directions. Often the voluntary roles can be the first thing to go. But, you know, you want to keep people in, you want to keep people engaged, you want them to continue to see the value and the what's in it for me. So, yes, I think, you know, if they want to make it easy for themselves and align to what they're doing in their day jobs, great, cool. We can find roles for you that do that. But also, I mean, what we find is that there are a lot of people that come into the network and take on roles in the network because they want to do something different. And actually, they are looking to either just build out new skills, work in a slightly different area safely, without it being, a secondment or a complete shift in the day job, or because they are looking to make a bit of a transition into something different, and they want to start building out that experience whilst also doing something really meaningful and that has a impacts on the culture and the people within the organization. So it can be really win-win from a development perspective as well. And certainly I know from a personal perspective, I've really built out my leadership skills from being in this role. I mean, it's been phenomenal. But that wasn't the main reason I did it in the first place. And the main reason I did it was to pay it forward, to give back, to do something that felt like it was making a difference. But yeah, I mean, we've had people come in who, are in finance roles, but want to go and do comms because they want to learn more about that space and they want to upskill. So I think that's where it is really important to listen and understand people. And coming back to your original question, Cheryl, around what's worked, what hasn't worked. I think one of the challenges we did have, and before I came into the global co-chair role, I was kind of co-leading our regions and strands. So I sat on the leadership team doing that role for a year or so. And prior to that, I was a co-chair of one of our regions. So I've seen it at every level, basically. And I think during COVID in particular, our regions, our regional committees did kind of lose their identity a bit, understandably, because everything went virtual. But suddenly it's like, well, what is the purpose of a regional committee if we're not meeting in person anymore? And so we had to kind of work with them through that and identify, because we didn't know when COVID was going to finish. We didn't know when we were going to go back into doing in-person things again. Work with them very closely to work out how they maintain those local connections, but also plug into global. And then when we came back out of COVID and started gently coming back to in-person events, how they did that and retain their identity or evolved their identity as part of that. And we're still working with them on that. And, some regions, the difference is more pronounced than others. In the UK, we're broken up into various different kind of regions within the UK. So we have a London and South East committee, we have Scotland, we have the Northwest, but then you've got India. And so actually the differences between the different component parts of the UK aren't going to be as pronounced as the difference between the UK and India. But there's still differences nonetheless. And so it's working with those regional co-chairs to understand what are the nuances, what are the differences that you're experiencing on a local base. And I think regardless, even if there weren't differences, there's something so powerful about that local connection too. About getting people together. Like hybrid's great, virtual's great. It's such a great way to be able to widen your reach. I mean, just look at us now. Like the fact that we're all in different locations, Meena's in the Middle East, and we're able to do this and have this conversation. And undoubtedly there'll be people watching this right now that are all over the place. And that's amazing. That's so powerful to drive meaningful conversation. Yeah. There is still a place for those local connections and the people that you're going to bump into the office. And knowing that you can still have that connection. You can know, oh yeah, I'm part of the gender network, or I'm doing work with the employee-led networks. And so we also get the employee-led networks coming together on that kind of local basis as well. Where we're trying to shift the needle more now is really getting all of the networks to work more closely together, both on a global and a local scale.
A couple of things there that I heard across both answers that I really loved. I mean, so Meena, you said something about like having one-to-ones with your board, and I was thinking, I don't know whether I've heard that before. I'm sure it probably does happen, but the fact that, I mean, and I say this I've said this to both of you on different occasions. I don't know how you do it all, like as in how do you fit this all in, with, because you both got big day jobs as well, and that typically network leaders have big day jobs, and then and actually, Meena, I would say as well, having been in Dubai with you for the summer, I've seen you in that coaching role, right? I've literally seen you doing it, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, actually. But that kind of making time to understand somebody's skills and what they're bringing and what they're trying to get out, and similar to linking to what you were saying, Lisa, about sometimes people potentially come in and want to develop new skills, and so like factoring all of that in the coaching, it's great. And you're both so Lisa, you do you're qualified in coaching, aren't you? Yeah. And effectively, Meena, what you are doing is coaching. Like, I've literally seen it. So there is something about the importance.
I have got a qualification. I just don't talk about it because I don't use it. I have, but I don't use it because I don't do it the formal way, because I have to follow rules, and I'm not a rule follower. And when I do, the first thing I always say to somebody is this: look, if you want me, I will make you cry. So if you want to come on board, this is how it's going to be, right? I mean, that's why I can't do it the real way.
I've seen Meena's coaching in action, and it was very gentle. It wasn't going to make anybody cry, though. Yeah, it's interesting that coaching, and I know obviously we've got Junior on in the comments as well, who is into coaching. There is something about that as a skill, isn't there, for network leaders, especially because often these individuals don't necessarily work for you in like a formal capacity. So is that a skill that you think is really important, to be able to coach those individuals that actually don't technically work for you?
I do, because I think it's about empowerment. Like, people are going to do this work, and it's becoming increasingly difficult, right, in the world that we're in, to stand up and put your head up above the parapet. You have to feel empowered to do that. You have to have the confidence. And that's where coaching comes in, right? Because as a coach, I'm not going to tell you what to do. And look at what the conversation we were just having about, like, different regions and strands and the differences that we experience on the ground. Like, I don't know what it's like to work in an office in Manchester. I don't know what it's like to work in Delhi, but I can sit with you and I can ask you questions and I can probe and I can get you to see things from slightly different perspectives, so that you can come up with the most effective solutions for your region, your strand, your area, your community, the people that you're working with. I can't give you all the answers. Like, I'm not that good. Like, none of us are, though. And that's dropping the ego of leadership as well, and going, I don't have all the answers. And that's, I think, where we can have the biggest impact and we can do the most within our networks. By trusting our people. I mean, we have phenomenal people in our NatWest gender network that are doing incredible work. And as some of the members of my LT, like, I can trust them to just say they've got an idea and I'll let them run with it. And I know they're going to get it done. I can give them that autonomy and give them that empowerment. I'm here. If they need anything, you can come to me. I'll provide you support. You need a door opened. You need a connection. I can try and provide that to you. But otherwise, this is yours. You go off and you do it. Like, as long as it aligns with our strategy and what we're doing, and we're all on board. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got, Adrian, we've got a new business suggestion. Meena School of Coaching. I think you might even have some clients in the comments as well. Listening to this conversation.
I just want to add to what you're saying, because all of that, the way I see it is that it's like we've taken an oath and a responsibility to lead, right? And it's like we've taken this job on, and so it goes with your nature as a person. I mean, I'm a completer finisher, right? If I've taken something on, I'm not going to touch anything if I can't complete it, or I'll never say to yes something that I can't do. So I feel like I've got a responsibility. I've got a responsibility to my board and the chapter leads who are my direct access, and they consequently across. And it's just like parenting. And I don't mean this in any condescending way, but and it's going back to the listening. It's like really working out. And like you said earlier, Lisa, about somebody who does want to do a different role. I mean, we're probably painting this utopian picture of ELGs that work well, but we know that they're not utopia, and it is through hard work, and I'm not going to take that away. We do put in a lot of time, effort, and belief in this, but fundamentally, it's if you've taken that responsibility, you've got to drive it to the end. Otherwise, you shouldn't do it.
And that's why you have to keep having those regular touch points, so that you can continue to, take the pulse of what's going well and what's not going well, and then you know where you need to pivot and where you need to change. done that
and
with our-
lose leaders, and we've had to lose people who've basically said this isn't for me, and you make that difficult decision because of that.
And that's okay. I've noted a couple of comments that have come through, like Sylvia was saying that it provides a breathing space where people can expand, and Junior said how powerful it is to do group coaching, and I think that's absolutely right. Checking in on the well-being and the resilience levels. To your point, Meena, like, people do get burnt out in these positions because they're doing it alongside a day job. Maybe they've got family outside, other commitments besides. There's a lot, and it feels like a lot. And the problem with this work sometimes is that it does feel like it never ends, and it won't ever end. Like, there's always somewhere else to go with this. There's always another challenge, but we do keep going. And so that resilience, and Junior runs a brilliant resilience workshop. If anyone wants some resilience training, it's absolutely fantastic. And I've brought it into my function and other parts of the business and other businesses that I'm aware of. Like, it is so important to maintain that resilience and keep checking in on your people. And I mean, you said about parenting, Meena, I think of it as nurturing. Like, you're nurturing people, you're helping them to grow and expand into these roles so that they can really make the difference that they want to have.
Yeah,
absolutely. But on the reverse of it, you find opportunities. Sorry, Cheryl, you find opportunities for yourself as individuals because of the network that you have. When it is time for a career change or a job change, it's that network that help you because they remember you. So it certainly helped for me, and I'm grateful for it forever.
Yeah. I sometimes feel that, like, with networks, we don't often talk about the benefits enough. I mean, one of the phrases you used earlier, Meena, was the what's in it for me. And obviously people don't generally go into it for the what's in it for me. They go into it, as you said, Lisa, to pay it forward, right? It's generally why people get involved. But this aspect of, an ability to potentially develop new skills, get some coaching from an individual that isn't your line manager, that maybe sees something different in you, is really important. When I think, Meena, of when I was in your offices in Dubai, and I watched how you were coaching some of the UAE leads, I could literally see it in real time, and I was thinking, their line manager isn't even really seeing that and how they're operating to give them that advice literally in real time. And I just thought it was amazing. So yeah, definitely something about those benefits, and it links to Sylvia's point as well, put so beautifully, and the point around group coaching. So lots to take away.
That joy of seeing, and probably for you, Lisa, that joy of seeing the evolution of individuals and how they start and then they stand up and they talk. I can give so many examples of individuals. And that, when the what's in it for me, the what's in it for me is every single one of us has an ego, and not every ego is tangible. And my ego is when I can give a voice and a platform to people that they would never have had through this because I can. That's my ego, and that's the what's in it for me.
Yeah. Okay, right, we're going to go on to this next question. We're getting very practical into the nitty-gritty. So most networks operate with tight budgets, and it's all on volunteer time, right, side of desk. What has given you the best return on investment? Because I know a lot of people often ask, I've got a modest budget, what should I spend it on? Or, what should we spend our time doing? So just in terms of budget and time, what has given you the best return on investment? And how do you make the case for resources when you need them? So it could be something small, could be something big.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing. We're talking to the banking people over there, right? And the banking people, especially the legal banking people, every organization has money for this. So when people come to me and talk about budgets, I think that is the least of your problems, okay? One of the favorite things that I do is I crowdfund, okay? Everyone's got a pocket. Everyone's got spare change. And I incentivize every sponsor, every leader as, the kind of things that we put together. Because we didn't need money for cupcakes, by the way, right? So that's how it all started. How we've incentivized. It's the leaders who hold that budget. And when you bring together strategic customers and partners and individuals into a room for their business, we're not charity. ERGs are not charity, by the way. We do this as a voluntary job, but we do it for the business. We are business people. When you incentivize, they're all going to crowdfund and put in a few $100s. It doesn't cost a lot. So budget's the least of your problems. But also the other thing that we've done is that having fantastic executive sponsors at board level, we're always getting the support. SAP's a data analytics software company. When you show the ROI and the value of the pipeline and the customers you touch by bringing them into a room, of course you're going to get budget. So our board love it. So least of my problems as far as I'm concerned. I know chapters do, but money is available.
I love that. I'm gonna and why I want to sort of like just draw that out, because the way that you describe it there, first of all, I totally agree. There is always budget somewhere, and if you can influence well across the senior leadership team, you will get access to budget, whether or not it's even in your defined budget, right? Somebody somewhere will find a pot. There'll be a pot somewhere. But the thing that you pulled out as well, in terms of, because so many of your events and things like that also have that customer focus, it's very clearly it's through a business lens, so it's much easier for you to get access to resources. And it reminds me, I was doing like a career development session November and December last year, and that was for a network. It was for an ethnicity network, but they invited clients into it. And so, of course, then, the organization then can take on the sponsorship, the costs, et cetera, because they'd invited clients. So it is a really clever way of framing it so that it doesn't have to come out of the network's budget, for sure. Lisa, your thoughts on that? Best spend for you,
look,
and then we're going to come to Mena's comment.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Meena and you have just said. I think it's budget isn't we do have tight budgets, but budget isn't really the issue, because, as you say, if you've got a strong business case for something, someone somewhere will fund it. And so we encourage all of our regions and committees to think a little bit outside the box. Let's not just focus on the budget that the ELN has, we call them employee-led networks at NatWest, but not just what the network has, but also what does your regional board have? What do your business areas have, especially if there's a customer aspect to it? How can you get that additional funding in? I think the hardest resource to get hold of is time and advocacy. So if you can get those voices at the top table, I'm so very pleased to say we've got 2 incredible executive sponsors for our gender network in our GC and Chief Legal Officer, Will Luca, and our Chief Financial Officer, Katie Murray, and they are phenomenal. I don't know where we'd be without them. They're incredible. It's so valuable to have those voices at the top table and those people to kind of bounce ideas off that do know that kind of broader bank strategy and closer to all of that. But then also, it's not just on them, it's on kind of all of our senior leaders, cascading that message down across the organization, the important role that employee-led networks have for the organization and for the strategic direction of the organization, and also for the colleagues that are part of those networks, and encouraging more colleagues to come into them. It's bang for our buck, and this is something that we're always kind of challenging ourselves around, because obviously you could spend thousands on attending a set of awards, for example, or spend thousands on bringing certain speakers into the organization. I've heard of some speakers charging as much as 30k to come in and do a 1 hour talk, which is just you've got to ask yourself, what is the outcome that you're going to get from that, and your return on investment, as you say. You've got to challenge that. So we're always looking at, where can we get the biggest bang for our buck? What is the impact going to be? How many colleagues are going to benefit from this? And what's the long-term value? Some of the most powerful things we've done are where we've just used colleague voices. I mean, I look back to about a year ago for part of the 16 days of activism against violence against women and girls. And we ran an event where 3 incredibly brave colleagues came and shared their stories, their personal stories on domestic abuse, sexual harassment and stalking. And oh my goodness, I mean, everyone had goosebumps. I was in the Teams chat of our leadership team at the time, and people were just sharing how powerful these stories were, because this isn't some celebrity that's come to talk through. This is a person, this is a colleague that could be sat next to you, that has had this experience. This is real, this is raw. And then people are thinking, our male colleagues, for example, thinking about, what if my daughter, what if my wife experienced it? So it really brings it home. So that's really powerful. The other thing that's been, a huge success story for us has been our gender network development program. So I mentioned we've been doing some work around senior development. Our flagship program was aimed at kind of our kind of clerical and administrative staff coming in and helping them to get to their first management role. So that first rung on the ladder, the broker of kind of getting into that first management role, and equipping them with, not just the skills. A lot of them have the skills already, but a lot of it's about confidence and building that confidence and building the connections across the wider bank. So the program was initially run in London. It was launched by a former colleague of mine, Helena Thernstrom, who was in legal and has left the bank now, but phenomenal woman. And she came up with this idea. She launched it in London. It's just scaled, and now it's global, and we're in our 12th year this year. That has no budget. Like, we do not use any money for that program. It's entirely volunteer led. And so the way it's run is we have groups of colleagues working together in teams, like kind of apprentice style. They get given a project brief. They work on that project brief for 12 weeks. And they have to present it to a Dragon's Den of senior leaders. At the end, the senior leaders volunteer their time to come and be dragons. We have a number of mock presentations that they go through beforehand to prepare them so that they're ready for that final one. And we're talking about senior leaders that are, down from CEO. These are kind of board level leaders, and the exposure it gives these colleagues is phenomenal. That in itself has so much value. And to be able to develop the confidence to stand up and present in front of these folks is phenomenal. Then we have colleagues that are more kind of mid-level who come in and support them through coaching. So we're then helping them to flex their coaching skills and build out their coaching skills so that they can support the colleagues that are on the program to prepare for those endpoint presentations. And then we also leverage the talent and skill of our colleagues in the learning and development team to front load a load of learning development at the beginning of the program that is going to help prepare the colleagues for the task ahead of them. So teaching them about social styles, giving them presentation skills, etc. And so all of that is done through kind of voluntary time, energy, but it's time bound. It's a 12-week program. It's put together volunteer time, so volunteers across the gender working on that all year long. I mean, this is the thing that got me into the gender network in the first place. Well, not quite. I think I came in initially doing on lean in circles, but then kind of that led me into coming in as a coach on the gender network program. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because for me, you spoke about seeing the difference in people as they grow and develop through these networks and through the work they're doing. I saw that first when I was doing this program, and as a coach, like working with a team and seeing them go from where they were on day one to where they were on that kind of final presentation, just seriously so proud. And absolutely blown away by the progress that he could make, and again without any budget, right? And have to an external trainer to come in and do that. Colleagues made that happen.
Colleagues made it happen.
I was going to add to that. I was going to say the amount of talent and IP that we have in our organisation, and some of them are hustles and they've trained in certain things. We also like to do these, that we leverage them. And again, going back to that ego, they love to give back. They don't have to be network, but they love to give back. So that thing. And the other thing that was really quite amusing, you talk about an external speaker charging you 30k fine, they're external. What makes me laugh is when our internal organisations that basically say, oh, well, look, if you want to put BWN on stage here, we need a little bit of budget or network. I'm thinking, dude, we're in the same company. No. And then it's almost embarrassing for them to even thought of asking. So, I mean, I'm good at saying no, but it's almost like it's a ridiculous notion, because as organizations, everyone charges across charges. So, as I say, the good old wooden dollars.
I mean, I loved, I loved in both of what you were saying. The thing about working with other departments within the business or with other organizations. So just diving into the comments, I know Junior's put something about it. So where budgets are tight, but I think actually the message that we've heard is budget often isn't the barrier. So if for example, you are watching this and you're running a network and you've only got a modest budget of 5 to 10k or something, your budget is not going to be the barrier to progress. But a good point here from Junior around collaboration, which is, if you absolutely do feel as though you are constrained, you can pull your budget. So Junior's basically saying, you can combine budgets and manpower. And I've seen that work really well, actually, combining manpower. So if one network has lots of keen people that are maybe slightly more junior, so they have a little bit more time on their hands. Like, for example, if you have an early careers ERG, they often have a lot of people that can help. I saw that actually in Dubai, you had some of your youth council come and, do bits and whatever, because they tend to have more time. So borrowing budgets and manpower. And then Sylvia Anna here had a point. I always say, if you can align your ego with your true passion or vision, you're a winner, because there is less internal resistance and it's easier to keep track of ego inflation. I love that. Sylvia, thank you so much for that. And then we're nearly sort of like wrapping up, but exec sponsors, let's talk about, you both mentioned them, the importance of exec sponsors. What have you done to nurture those relationships to really get it to work well for the network?
We had our 2 new exec sponsors came in at the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it starts with just building rapport and getting to know them at a human level. It's, easy to, especially when you're less senior within such large organizations, if you're a little bit intimidated by these senior leaders. But actually, at the end of the day, they're humans too. And they're doing this work not because they've been told to, but because they want to. Katie in particular, I know, was very passionate about kind of getting involved in the gender network, and Will's really thrown himself at it and is out there prepared to learn and grow with the network, and it's been fantastic to see them on that journey too, in terms of how much they're willing to give, how much they're willing to support and understand us. So I think a lot of it starts with just getting to know each other at a human level and knowing where we're all at on that journey, because they know about the work and they know about the importance of the work. We don't need to sell that to them. What we need to get comfortable with is asking for more. We're not very good at, but that's where we're kind of starting to evolve things now, is to go from that place of saying, hey, can you come along to this event and open it, to getting to a place where actually, can you go to that senior leader in that business area and say something about what's happening over there, or can you help us get access to that? So I think we're building our confidence, ask more of them as well, but also they're telling us to. They're telling us to ask more of them. So I think it's a two-way thing. It's they're learning from us, we're learning from them. It's like any true sponsorship or mentoring relationship. It's reciprocal. Everyone benefits from it.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Sue. So I'm going to come over to you, Meena, and I want to get into the real practical things as well. So on a practical level, what does it look like for you, Meena, in terms of working well with your sponsor?
I agree everything you said. First and foremost is I've got this hashtag, I'm a leader without a title, and they have a leader title as well, but they're people first. So you're right. We're treated and treat them as humans first. People are scared because of their title. So the practical things that we actually do is, out of respect, first of all, be very mindful of their time. They are also volunteers, right? They are giving up their sponsorship time to be part of this because they don't have to. But we actually work on giving like a QBR, business updates. So we work on, for example, if I take it from a global perspective, we do a biannual update to Thomas and Gina. Okay, and in that is, looking back on the year, what's coming ahead, and our ask 4 or 5 slides, and that's coming up actually in a couple of weeks. So we provide business updates. Then if we filter down, every sponsor and every chapter and region has sponsors within them, have that regular checkpoint, as in, how can we help you? Where do you need our help? Where can we be plugged into, and so forth? So there's having those real business conversations, as I said before. So that's the kind of thing that we do. And we don't sit there, and I'm telling you very honestly, I don't sit there and ask for budget in those conversations. I literally am trying to get, where is their headspace at? One thing I will really say that is a big important factor is, at the end of the day, we're working for organizations. I have a responsibility to SAP. So I need to understand what's going on within the organization first and foremost. And then my ERG runs in a line to that. And if I can then get into the headspace, our 2 executive sponsors at board level, One is running the CS&D organizations, one is CHRO. They're going to have two very different needs. When I do my business update, the business impact side of it, Thomas really wants to see, where are the numbers, where are the customers you touch. Gina's very much about where's the community piece, the employee engagement, what are you doing around them, what are the programs and elements that you're running. So it's about, appealing to our audience, and doing more of that. So I'd say those are the couple of things that we put in place.
Yeah. Wow. You took me back, Meena, to my FP&A days there when you started talking about the QBR. I started to come out and bring me out in goosebumps. So QBR, quarterly business review, for anybody that doesn't know that term. But the fact that and I talk to lots of networks about the importance of a quarterly report with some like metrics, even if it's literally just one page of what we have done this quarter, right? So to accompany then a conversation with your sponsor that sort of says, this is where we are, this is what we've done, this is what we need your help with.
And we do exactly the same. So we have regular kind of quarterly catch-ups with our exec sponsors. I mean, obviously they're always available in between, considerate of their time, of course, but they're always open door if needed, and sometimes stuff comes up. But what we also do is kind of give them access to the wider network too. So one of the things that we've done the last couple of years is brought them in to have a conversation with our leadership team. And rather than have us play back, what the leadership team is doing and what the subcommittees are doing, we've let them do that directly on an annual basis. Like, what happened last year? What are we going after this year? Just so they can hear that directly from our other leaders of the network, because we don't do it all as co-chairs. In fact, we do very little compared to what they all do. So it's good for them to get that exposure. And also to the broader network, we have Ask Us Anything sessions where we'll bring in our exec sponsors and give that opportunity for all of our colleagues to ask questions of them directly that are connected back to the work of the network. So those are really, really powerful engagement points as well.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah. Incredible. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Let's just talk about support beyond core members and things like allies. So allies and or dealing with, any sort of like hostility or anything like that. But what has been a real game changer for you in terms of sort of like partnerships or, getting people on board that maybe weren't on board at the start, or other organizations that you've maybe partnered with, which kind of collaborations and partnerships or key stakeholder groups have made the biggest difference for your networks?
So SAP, we have, sorry, go ahead, Lisa.
We're too polite. You go.
I know. Right then. So we work with so we have several relationships with partners and customers. We all work with the big 5, big 6 plus partner. All organizations have to work, closely on a business level with partners. But I think one of our strategic partnerships is with our user groups. Okay, user group organization, and they have the equivalent, which they had to then, for example, the American user group, they had to rechange their name in light of what was going on in the States. So they're now called, ASA Collective. And just that partnership alone and working with them, because they're massive. For example, they're a massive sponsor of our global annual customer event, which is called Sapphire, that takes place in May. But just that collaboration and having that personal relationship with them has just been a game changer for us, because they look to us and we look to them, and there's several of those types of examples across the globe and within the regions, but certainly something as strategic as that has really made a difference for us as well.
Yeah, amazing. Lisa, how about you?
Yeah, just conscious of time, but I'll quickly summarize. I think, three big things for us. Like, one, it would be remiss of me not to mention our inclusion team and how closely we work with them within the organization. I mean, obviously, ERGs, ELNs are independent of our inclusion teams, but we wouldn't get anywhere if we didn't work in very close partnership with them. So that's absolutely fundamental. We've got some brilliant consultants there we work with. Then our other internal employee-led networks, right? Junior's mentioned it. You've talked about it a lot. We have 8 within NatWest. We work very closely with all of them. So we meet with the other co-chairs on a monthly basis. We share what we're all doing. We support one another. We look for those opportunities to collaborate and where the intersections are. So that is, that's so important. And then finally, I do think it's important to have those external partnerships, to have that other lens on things, to see things from other perspectives, so that you don't end up getting over institutionalized or into the kind of this one way of thinking about things. So conversations like this, really, really powerful. A little plug for your ERG Leader Summit, Cheryl, because that is such a great opportunity to get in a room with other employee-led network leaders and, people from diversity, equity, and inclusion teams, to have this conversation around what's working, what's not working, what can we try differently, how do we all together shift the needle on this. And Cheryl, you've heard me say this before, it's all about collaboration over competition, because in this space, like, no one wins the prize for getting there first. There is no prize for getting there first. Like, we all win if we work together on this one.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I am conscious of time. Have you got a 9:30 meeting, Lisa? We're literally running to our final question. We could talk all day. Meena, I'm determined we have to get you over to London for the summit. We have to delve more into.
We'll find a way.
Yeah, we have to delve more into. I just think the SAP Business Women's Network model is, I think, in terms of that sweet spot of internal focus plus external focus, I think this is probably one of the best examples that I've come across, and it'd be great to delve into it more. So if you are thinking about the June summit, just building on Lisa's plug, I'm going to do my absolute best to get Meena over here for that. So finishing off then with the final question, what is one piece of advice you would give to other network leaders?
Keep going.
Keep going.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit more quirky here. So the way I do things as a human as well, if it's not illegal, if it's non-compliant, and if it's not HR related, go for it. Do what you need to and ask for forgiveness later. That's how I run things.
I've seen that in action. Yeah, absolutely incredible. No, that the conversation has been brilliant, honestly, and I hope that for everybody that's joined us in the comments and been with us. Sylvia, and I did see your last comment there. Cheryl had a somatic response. Not sure exactly what that means, but I think I know what you're saying when I talked about it taking me back to my financial planning and analysis days, to Meena's comment, and it was beautiful to watch. Thank you so much, Sylvia. Anna, you've got such a lovely way with words. Honestly, I really do love it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're still here and you stayed with us through the technical glitch, honestly, the tech gods are absolutely kicking me at the moment. Junior, thank you for being with us, and Adrian as well. And anybody that is maybe watching this on the replay, thank you so much for taking an hour out of your day. Meena and Lisa, thank you so much.
See you again soon.
Yeah. And I guess I almost feel like I should finish just by saying, what are you going to be doing after you have handed the baton on? How are you going to stay involved in networks? The very last question.
We need another hour, I think.
I will, because we said at the beginning of the conversation, right, that as much as we want to continue, it also is such a valuable opportunity for someone else, and I don't want to hog it. I don't want to take that on somebody. So
likewise,
there is more to be done, but there will be different ways to do it, and always think when you make something, you make space for something else. So
I tell you what, whoever takes on after you two has got big shoes to fill, like skyscraper shoes for sure. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Have a great